Three reported cases in this video show a common direction in modern fraud. The criminal does not necessarily need to invent a completely new story. Instead, the objective is to make a familiar story look sufficiently official, urgent, or credible that the target stops checking. A fake legal document, a website that looks like the real one, a donation request during a disaster. Different scenarios, similar mechanics. The first case starts with something that looks like evidence before the scam call even happens. Authorities in the United States have warned about a scam in which targets receive fake court documents before receiving a threatening phone call. The caller then claims to be a law enforcement officer or court official. The story can involve missed jury duty, an arrest warrant, criminal charges, or requirement to verify a signature or handwriting sample. The critical feature is the sequence. The document comes first. It creates a piece of apparent evidence that makes the subsequent phone call feel more legitimate. Then comes manufactured urgency. The target is told the arrest can be avoided by immediately paying a fine or posting a bond. This is an important psychological combination. The scammer is not relying on impersonation. They are combining impersonation with a threat of immediate personal consequences. Once the target believes arrest is imminent, normal verification becomes less likely. The payment demand provides another major warning sign. Authorities specifically warned about demands involving cryptocurrency, gift cards, wire transfers, or electronic payment applications. These methods matter because the victim is being pushed towards a transaction outside normal official processes. There is also a useful external warning signal. A legitimate government agency does not become legitimate merely because the caller possesses convincing documents. The document and the caller must still be independently verified. Transition to the safest response is to break the sequence. If someone calls claiming that a warrant or criminal charge requires immediate payment, end the call. Do not continue negotiating with the person who created the threat. Instead, independently locate the official contact information for the relevant court or government agency. Do not use the telephone number supplied by the caller or printed on an unexpected document. And do not provide personal information, banking information, or payment details while the claim is being investigated. There is another prevention layer that does not involve the person receiving the call. Employees at banks, credit unions, retailers, pharmacies, and convenience stores may see the financial consequences before anyone else does. A customer purchasing a large quantity of gift cards or attempting an unusual withdrawal while visibly under pressure may be in the middle of a scam. In the reported case, a store employee recognized the warning signs and tried to intervene while the scammer was still on the phone. That is significant because fraud prevention does not always happen at the point of first contact. Sometimes, the last opportunity to stop the transaction is the person standing behind the counter. The strongest evidence here is the coordinated warning from law enforcement, court, and clerk officials that they do not demand immediate payment through these channels to avoid arrest. If money or personal information has already been provided, the priority is immediate financial triage, account protection, and reporting rather than continuing contact with the caller. But legal authority is only one way criminals manufacture credibility. The next case removes the phone call almost entirely. Instead, the deception can be sitting inside a website that looks legitimate. Cybersecurity authorities in Spain have warned about increasingly convincing copies of websites used to sell tickets and reservations. The targets include major tourist attractions, restaurants, hotels, and other travel-related businesses. The basic fraud is familiar. A tourist searches for a ticket, a reservation, or a way to avoid a sold-out event. They encounter a website that appears to belong to a real organization. The price may be unusually attractive. The discount becomes the hook. The more important development is the quality of the imitation. Cybersecurity authorities warned that artificial intelligence is making it easier for criminals to create credible fake ticket sales websites. That changes one traditional assumption about online fraud. A professional-looking website is not sufficient evidence that the seller is legitimate. The old warning signs often included obvious spelling mistakes, poor translations, strange layouts, or obviously fake branding. Those signals can still matter, but they cannot be treated as a complete verification system. There is another variation that deserves attention. The scam does not always begin with a fake website. A criminal may contact a person through WhatsApp or another messaging service while impersonating a hotel or accommodation provider. The message can refer to a real reservation. That makes the deception substantially more persuasive. The target may think, the hotel knows my booking. The message looks professional. The link takes me to a page that looks like the hotel. Therefore, it must be genuine. That conclusion is exactly what the scammers want. The solution is to verify the destination before trusting the message. When buying tickets or making reservations, start with the official website of the organization. Do not trust a link received through an unexpected message as the starting point for verification. Instead, independently navigate to the organization, then compare the ticketing or reservation process. An unusually low price should also increase scrutiny rather than reduce it. A discount is useful only if the seller is real. If the seller is fraudulent, the discount is simply the mechanism that gets the payment made. The same principle applies to hotels, restaurants, and travel bookings. If a message says the payment information must be updated, a reservation is about to expire, or a booking will be cancelled, close the message. Open the official website or application independently. Then check the reservation there. The objective is to prevent the scammer from controlling both the message and the verification process. That distinction matters. If the same person tells you what happened, provides the evidence, supplies the link, and tells you where to pay, there is no independent verification. The Regional Cybersecurity Authority and police have specifically warned about AI-assisted copies of legitimate ticket and reservation websites during the current travel season. The official warning is a useful signal that website appearance alone is no longer a reliable authentication method. The third case involved neither a fake court nor a cloned tourist website. It exploits something much more human, the desire to help when other people are suffering. Emergency officials have warned about scams exploiting wildfire recovery efforts. There are two vulnerable groups: people who need urgent help rebuilding and people who want to help them. For donors, the scam can appear as a fundraising campaign, a photograph, a personal story, a request for immediate financial support. The emotional objective is straightforward: reduce the amount of time spent asking whether the recipient is legitimate. Disasters are particularly effective environments for this tactic because urgency is real. People really do need assistance. The problem is that a genuine emergency does not make every fundraising request genuine. For homeowners, the fraud can take a different form. A contractor offers debris removal or home repairs. The victim needs the work quickly. The contractor may request payment before the homeowner has verified licensing, identity, or history. Again, the urgency is real. The identity is what needs to be tested. The warning also covers impersonation. A person may claim to represent a government agency or recovery organization and arrive by phone, email, text, mail, or in person. That creates another authority signal. The core problem is the same in the first one. A claim of authority is not proof of authority. The defensive approach is to move verification outside the conversation. For donations, use established organizations or trusted sources that can be independently verified. Government and community resources can help identify organizations actually involved in disaster response. For contractors, verify licensing through the relevant city, state, or provincial licensing authority. Check the contractor's history before paying and keep a documented record of transactions. A payment that leaves no useful documentation creates an additional problem if the transaction later turns out to be fraudulent. The same principle applies to personal information. Do not provide social security numbers, banking information, or other sensitive identity information to an organization that has not been independently verified. The important distinction is between urgency and verification. You can respond quickly to an emergency without responding blindly to the person asking for money. Your local emergency management should have issued warning about ongoing wildfire season and specifically identified fundraising and contractor fraud as risks. The authorities also directed residents toward government resources for verifying charities and contractor licenses, showing that independent verification is part of the recommended responses rather than an optional extra step. Across all three cases, the fraud stories are different. The mechanics are not. A criminal creates a reason to trust, then creates a reason to hurry, then creates a payment path that limits the opportunity to reconsider. That sequence is worth remembering because the story can change tomorrow. The mechanism does not have to. Before we get to the final tips, remember to hit the subscribe button. The strongest protection against these scams is not memorizing every scam story. It is recognizing the recurring pressure points, manufactured urgency, impersonation of authority, unsolicited contact, and payment methods that makes recovery more difficult. When those elements appear together, pause. End the interaction. Verify independently. And if money or information has already been exposed, move quickly to protect the account. Contact the relevant financial institution or service provider, and report the fraud through appropriate official channels. The objective is not to predict every story a scammer will tell. It is to recognize the mechanics before the story controls the decision. Thanks for joining me. See you in the next update. Thank you.